Hey, can you find a water bottle for me?
Something so simple.
Good afternoon. I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Friday, November the 3rd. Two obstacles were removed today from the November 9th execution of Jack Greene, who's scheduled to die for a capital murder and a slaying in Johnson County more than 20 years ago. Governor Asa Hutchinson said that he will not stand in the way of the execution. He said he's confident that the standard for mental competency has been met. Circuit Judge Jody Dennis in Pine Bluff refused a petition to stop the execution on mental competency grounds. She said other courts have considered the question. She also said she didn't have an authority to step in the place of the director of the State Correction Department in making the competency decision. That's left solely to that person by statute. There'll be an appeal to the state Supreme Court. Lawyers for Greene say that there should be an independent competency hearing, that the director of the Correction Department has a conflict in making that call. Interesting news from Van Buren yesterday. A outgoing state official said some important words about where he stands, at least, and perhaps the state should stand on treatment of transgender people. Joe David Rice is retiring as state tourism director. He told a meeting in Van Buren this week that it would be bad for the state's image and hurt the state's significant tourism industry if it passed a bathroom bill. Bathroom bill is shorthand for bills that tells transgender people that they can't use restrooms that could comport with their gender identity. Joe David Rice was accompanied by Jim Daly, who's going to succeed him as tourism director. Rice is retiring. These are important statements in a state where there's still under consideration a bill that would impose a bathroom standard such as North Carolina imposed to such a terrible fallout. Governor Asa Hutchinson opposed that bill in 2017 legislation. His administration seems to be standing by that point of view. That's a good thing. Donald Trump went on a Twitter rampage this morning. He thinks the Justice Department should investigate lying Hillary Clinton for a variety of things, none of which have any suggestion of criminal activity. She just ought to be investigated. Donald Trump's not too happy about his own investigations of people in the White House. You know, if we investigated people for lying, Donald Trump would be occupied quite a bit of the time by the Justice Department, I think. Well, the House today passed legislation that would renew the Children's Health Insurance Program, which has died, whose funding has expired, and states now face difficult times in keeping that program going. But they did it by robbing money from a preventive health fund in the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare. Democrats didn't go along. It's uncertain whether this fix will be approved in the Senate. It's just wrong to rob Peter to pay Paul for children's health insurance. Arkansas, speaking of health insurance, still waits word from the federal government on whether it will get the waivers that Asa Hutchinson wants in the Medicaid Expansion program that would throw 60,000 people off the program by changing the income standard and also imposing a work requirement. The governor thinks we need to have this to save some money. But the government is moving slowly. That means it may be difficult to get these changes in place by January 1st if the waivers are approved. Other states are seeking waivers as well. There's some talk of a lawsuit being filed about these waivers that says that the Affordable Care Act doesn't allow these kind of conditions to be placed on that law unless Congress actually changes the law. We shall see. Legislative Audit met today. A couple of interesting topics. One was an extensive look at the tax credit programs offered in Arkansas over the last dozen years or so. The legislative auditors conclude that on balance, these programs have a positive cost-benefit record, but not always, and that there's some programs in which some economic expansions probably would have happened anyway with or without tax credits. That's interesting. Also, a pretty good report on whether prosecutors followed through with prosecutions on matters referred to them by auditors. One case is still pending in Pulaski County, and that's Bill Walker, the former director of the Career Education Department, who was cited in an audit for perhaps benefiting from some multi-level marketing sales made by people he was related to. He says he did nothing wrong, but the prosecutor's still reviewing that particular case. Bill and Hillary Clinton are going to be in town in 2 weeks, November 18th. They're going to appear at a public program. You can sign up by getting in touch with the Clinton School and asking for a reservation at the State House Convention Center, in a program moderated by James Carville. They're going to talk about their lives in politics. The occasion is the 25th anniversary at the Clinton Center of his election as president in 1992. Boy, a lot has happened since then, wouldn't you say? A new grassroots group announced the formation today in Little Rock about Citizens for Better Little Rock leadership, they're expected to call for the resignation of the police chief, Kenton Buckner, and city manager, Bruce Moore. They don't think that the response to crime problems in the city has been adequate, particularly in the inner city. I doubt they'll get action on their request, but they'll keep the pot stirring. And finally, who says nothing good ever happens at the University of Arkansas? The football team may not be having the best year ever, but there's going to be an effort this Sunday at the University of Arkansas to break a world record, is according to the Guinness Book of World Records. A former student there, Lindsay Scott, is going to attempt to break the record for taking off and putting back on a wetsuit. Calm down, guys. She's going to be wearing what they call full cover undergarments during the process of donning and doffing her wetsuit. Well, there you have it. That's news in Arkansas for this week. Keep resisting. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back next week.